Lewis Hamilton did not join Ferrari for money. He did not join because he needed attention. And he definitely did not join just to wear red. He joined Ferrari for one reason: legacy, one final championship run. One last chance to turn the biggest name in Formula One into the greatest story the sport has ever seen. And at first, it felt perfect. The photos exploded across social media. Ferrari fans were emotional. Formula One felt bigger again. Even people who barely watched racing suddenly cared about Ferrari. Because Hamilton in red did not feel like a normal transfer, it felt historic. But underneath all that excitement, something started feeling wrong almost immediately. Not dramatic, not obvious, just small warning signs, tiny cracks. And the scary part is that those cracks are starting to connect. Because right now there are people inside Formula One quietly asking a question Ferrari fans do not want to hear. What if Ferrari was not actually ready for Lewis Hamilton? And no, this is not just about results. This goes much deeper than that. Over the past few weeks, multiple conversations around Ferrari have started pointing toward the same uncomfortable narrative. Preparation issues, communication concerns, pressure inside the team, a car that still behaves unpredictably, and a system that may not be built for a driver like Hamilton anymore. That matters because Lewis Hamilton is not just another driver adapting to a new environment. He is one of the most detail-obsessed drivers Formula One has ever seen. Every braking phase matters to him, every setup adjustment matters, every tiny feeling from the car matters. When Hamilton loses confidence in the car, everything changes. And recently, reports around Ferrari simulator concerns have made fans nervous for a reason. Because if Hamilton is questioning the preparation process already, then this story is bigger than people think. Now, to be fair, adapting to Ferrari was always going to take time. Different engineers, different culture, different car philosophy, but fans were expecting growing pains. What they were not expecting was tension this early, and that is where things start getting dangerous for Ferrari. Because once Formula One fans smell instability, the narrative moves fast. Suddenly, every radio message gets analyzed, every frustrated expression becomes a headline, every strategy call becomes evidence that Ferrari is still Ferrari. And maybe the most uncomfortable part of all this is that Hamilton might be discovering something Charles Leclerc has been dealing with for years. We're going to get into that in a second because once you connect Hamilton and Leclerc together, this entire Ferrari story starts looking very different. But before we go deeper, I want to know where you stand on this right now. Do you think Hamilton still made the right decision joining Ferrari? Or do you already think this could become the biggest mistake of the final chapter of his career? Drop your take below because Formula One fans are completely divided on this right now. And honestly, that divide is exactly why this story is becoming impossible to ignore. Because the deeper you look into Ferrari, the less this feels like a normal adaptation period. And the more it feels like Hamilton may have walked directly into a system that was already under pressure long before he arrived. And that is where Charles Leclerc changes everything. Because once Hamilton arrived at Ferrari, a lot of fans treated this like a completely new era. Fresh start, fresh energy, fresh opportunity. But what if Ferrari was already showing the same warning signs before Hamilton even got there? That is the part people keep ignoring. Charles Leclerc has spent years trying to become world champion with Ferrari. And honestly, there were moments where he looked capable of doing it. The speed was there, the talent was obvious, the qualifying performances were insane. But somehow the same pattern kept appearing over and over again. Strategy mistakes, communication problems, pressure collapsing race weekends. Moments where Ferrari looked fast enough to fight at the front, but emotionally unstable the second things got difficult. And once you realize that, Hamilton joining Ferrari starts feeling less like a clean new beginning and more like he just stepped into an unfinished crisis. Because now Ferrari does not just have one superstar under pressure, they have two. That changes everything inside a Formula One team. Now, every strategy decision becomes political, every development direction becomes emotional, every bad weekend becomes a media storm. And you can already feel the tension building, not publicly, not explosively, but subtly. In Formula One, the dangerous moments are usually the quiet ones first. The uncomfortable debriefs, the frustrated engineer conversations, the small disconnects that slowly become bigger. And if you are Ferrari, that should terrify you, because Hamilton did not come here with time to waste. This is not a 24-year-old driver building for the future. This is a 7-time world champion trying to squeeze one final legendary chapter out of the end of his career. That changes the pressure completely, especially when Formula One itself is entering one of the most uncertain eras in years. The 2026 regulation changes are already making teams nervous, drivers are questioning the direction of the sport, fans are worried Formula One could become too artificial, and inside all that uncertainty, Ferrari somehow has to build a championship-level project around Hamilton fast enough before the entire competitive landscape changes again. That is an insane amount of pressure, especially for Fred Vasseur, because whether Ferrari fans want to admit it or not, this story is slowly becoming a leadership test as much as a driver story. Fred is trying to manage Hamilton expectations, protect Leclerc, handle Italian media pressure, keep Ferrari politically stable, and prepare for the future of Formula One all at the same time. Very few team principals survive that kind of emotional environment cleanly, and maybe the most dangerous thing for Ferrari is this. Mercedes suddenly looks a lot more stable in hindsight. That does not mean Hamilton made the wrong choice yet, but it does create a brutal question that Formula One fans are starting to ask more aggressively every week. Did Hamilton leave a controlled environment for chaos? Because once that narrative starts spreading, every bad Ferrari weekend becomes 10 times louder. And honestly, I think this is where the fan base gets split right down the middle. Some people believe Hamilton just needs time. Others think Ferrari is about to waste the final elite years of one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history. And I genuinely want to know where you stand on that. Do you think Ferrari can actually give Hamilton a championship car before the 2026 reset changes everything? Or do you think this project is already heading toward disappointment? Because the next part of this story is where things become seriously uncomfortable for Ferrari. Because once you look at what 2026 could do to Formula One, the stakes of this Hamilton move become way bigger than just one season. And that is why 2026 changes this entire conversation. Because for most teams, the new regulations are opportunity. For Lewis Hamilton, they might be the final door. That is what makes this Ferrari project feel so emotionally dangerous right now. Formula One is heading toward one of the biggest technical resets in modern history. New power unit philosophy, new aerodynamic direction, completely different competitive balance. And nobody truly knows who is going to get it right. Not Red Bull, not Mercedes, not Ferrari, but here is the difference. Red Bull still has the image of control, Mercedes still has the image of structure, Ferrari still has the image of chaos, and perception matters in Formula One more than fans sometimes realize. Because once drivers start feeling uncertainty, pressure spreads through the entire team. Engineers feel it, strategists feel it, even fans feel it. That is why every small Ferrari issue suddenly feels massive right now. Every radio message gets clipped, every frustrated reaction becomes viral. Every awkward interview creates another wave of speculation. And the scary part is that Ferrari may not have enough time for slow progress anymore. Hamilton is not joining for a 5-year rebuild. He joined to win, fast. That is why the next 12 to 18 months could define the final legacy chapter of his entire career. Not just at Ferrari, in Formula One history. Because if Ferrari gets this right, the story becomes unbelievable. The greatest driver of his generation joins the most iconic team in motorsport and wins one final championship against a completely new era of drivers. That becomes immortal, but if Ferrari gets this wrong, the narrative turns brutal very quickly. People will not remember the dream, they will remember the chaos. And honestly, that possibility is what makes this entire story impossible to look away from. Because deep down, even Ferrari fans know something uncomfortable. This does not feel stable yet, not emotionally, not structurally, not politically. And Formula One is ruthless when instability starts growing, especially now. Because while Ferrari is trying to build around Hamilton, the rest of the grid is moving fast. McLaren suddenly looks organized, Mercedes looks patient, Red Bull still knows how to survive pressure. Young drivers are arriving with zero fear. Formula One is changing faster than Ferrari can afford to hesitate. That is what makes this next phase so dangerous. Hamilton still has the talent, he still has the intelligence, he still has the experience. The real question is whether Ferrari can finally become the kind of team that does not waste legendary drivers. Because Formula One fans have seen this story before. Incredible talent, massive expectations, a Ferrari project that almost works, almost. And maybe that is the fear hanging over this entire situation right now. Not that Hamilton will fail, but that Ferrari might fail him. And if that happens, this will stop being remembered as the most exciting move in modern Formula One. It will become one of the biggest missed opportunities the sport has ever seen. So now the question goes to you. Do you think Ferrari will eventually turn this into a championship story for Hamilton? Or do you think the warning signs are already too big to ignore? Let me know below, because this conversation inside Formula One is only getting louder. And if you want more deep dives into the hidden pressure, politics, and chaos shaping Formula One right now, subscribe, because the next year could completely change the future of this sport.